Yo, what is up, everybody? Let me share my screen here. I hope everybody is having an amazing Wednesday night. If you're in the US, I know in the UK and a few other places, it's the next day, Thursday. Asia, a little bit different. Hope everybody's having a good day. If you're tuning in the Telegram, Boss Man Calls Telegram channel, we did try to start it a few times, had some technical difficulties, but now we're here. We have 30 people tuning in from the Telegram, or 21 people tuning in from the Telegram. Welcome. And if you're tuning in on X, welcome as well. If you are in the Telegram channel and you want to join the chat, definitely click on the link that I will have posted in the Telegram here in a second. But happy to have everybody here. It's been a while since I've done a stream. Last year in 2025, for the most part, did a stream almost every week. And a few months into this year as well. Took a little bit of a break, but we're back. Love doing these streams. Last year here on the stream, we caught a lot of great plays together. Pump, USDC, SPX, a lot of these coins, when a lot of the rest of the market doubted them, we were able to catch huge 5, 10, 20, 30x gains, learned a lot together. Love doing streams, and I'm excited to be back. So for this one, a lot to talk about in the last few weeks. We're going to obviously talk about Bitcoin, what I think it's going to do over the next few weeks, months, years, where crypto's at. Has it seen its permanent top? We're going to be talking about Robinhood chain, like I said, Clarity Act, really on the 1 yard line, really needs to pass in the next few weeks. We'll be talking about that. And then a USDC giveaway, how that's going to work. I'm going to give away 200 USDC, 100 from the comments of the X post that is here. Let me see. I'm sharing my screen. Is it showing? No. Okay. I have to switch. Bear with me, I'm a little rusty here. On this post right here, from the comments of this post, pretty much the stream post on X, from the comments of this, we'll be picking randomly using X Picker, and then somebody from the chat as well, which is again, best place you can get in the chat is either on YouTube or X. If you're not following me on both X, YouTube, TikTok, all of that, you can see it on the top right. Definitely follow me there. But excited. It's an exciting time again on crypto, to be in crypto in general during bear markets, which we've been in obviously since November. It's always the best time. Shit slows down. It's always the best time to learn. A lot of times in bear markets, like we saw earlier this year, there's nothing going on other than prices going down. But over the last few months, there's been a lot going on with Robinhood chain, ANSEM, CASHCAT, some of these different coins we're going to be talking about. But let's go ahead and start. Again, if you're just tuning in, two things. First time streaming in a while. If you guys could, make sure to share, like, comment on the stream post here, which I'm sharing, which will enter you in the giveaway for 100 USDC maybe in about 30 minutes, I'll do it. Again, randomly from the comments of this stream. But hope everybody's doing well. I think it's an interesting time. We're going to go over the Bitcoin chart and what I think we're going to do over the next few weeks, months. That's an interesting time in midterm years. First of all, obviously, if you were in the streams last year, that I thought that the 4-year cycle was probably not going to play out, right? I thought the 4-year cycle was probably that we weren't going to see downside, in this year, and that we weren't going to top in the 4th year like we saw the last 2 cycles. But it played out, much to my surprise and a few other people. Here, I'm looking at the Bitcoin chart now. Around here, I thought Bitcoin was going to touch around 100K before potentially coming down, but obviously we are in a full-on bear market. Since around 78K here, I thought that very likely we're going to continue to head lower into the end of the year. And let's look at where we're at exactly right now for Bitcoin. I always like to start a lot of the times on the 4-hour chart. That gives me the best view of the super short term, really in the last couple days, but also kind of the last few months of price action as well, where I think Bitcoin is essentially, if we hide these words not to confuse anybody. Yeah, I'll do that. Where I think Bitcoin's at right now is essentially, obviously, in a bigger bear market correction, which is shown by this bigger corrective channel I have. But if we zoom in a little bit more, I think what Bitcoin is looking at is very similar to what we saw here back in December, right at the end of the year before we came down and created this next low at 60K. I think even though Bitcoin is coming up since June, obviously made a low at 59K, it's coming up now to 65K. This price action to me is very corrective, meaning the price action that we see out of bear market bottoms, which I can zoom back and show you guys from here back. This is the best example, December of 2022. What do we see out of the bear market bottom? Bitcoin ripped very impulsively. As you can see here, I can zoom in a little bit to make it easier to see. But what did Bitcoin do out of the bear market bottom? It went straight green candles for about a month. Wasn't choppy at all, was very impulsive in nature. That impulsivity is very telling of a big reversal. What do we see here over the last few weeks? Yes, Bitcoin has moved up, but if we look at the lower time frames in the 4 hour, it's been very choppy. We've still stayed around 65K here for about 11, 12 days. So what this shows me is that this move up, just like we saw here in December of 2025, and we can go over the fundamental reasons why I think this may happen as well, is I think Bitcoin is very likely going to go up in the short term, which we'll go over, but could very likely see some friction here at around 70K, maybe 72, 73K, something like that, going into the midterms, which is actually historically very bearish for markets, which we can look back at as well. So if we look at the very short term though, I think Bitcoin, talking over the last week or the last couple days here, the last couple days here from June 21st down to here is in a very clean corrective coil up. Corrective coil ups are essentially, I have a bunch of examples here, is where price makes these nice corrective structures, corrective channels. Some people like to call them wedges, where essentially price is coiling up before moving higher. There's 5 or 6 examples here, which I can break down the anatomy of later on. But essentially, I think we're seeing another example of what we saw here back in a couple days ago, what we saw here on the 16th, what we saw here on the 13th, right into the July 15th high that it broke again on July 15th. So I think we're seeing a very clean corrective structure right into this high. And I think what we're going to see, potentially we could go a little bit lower. The bottom could be in here, but over the next few days, I think we start climbing higher up into the 60, 67, 70, potentially even higher into the mid 70s, low 70s for Bitcoin, which on ETH, for example, let's go to ETH, would look like maybe a climb into 22, 2300. On Sol, which I'm long on right now, kind of focusing on out of the 3 majors, as far as perps wise, I think could move into 82, 83, 85, maybe even 90 before potentially topping out into the 85, 90, something like that. But either way, in the short term, I think there's a lot of reasons to be bullish. Again, mostly chart wise, we're seeing a very, even cleaner than the Bitcoin one I just showed you a second ago, very clean corrective behavior, as I like to call it. And I can show you here, so many different examples of this corrective behavior leading to another move higher, or whichever way the trend is at that time. So yeah, I think Sol probably rips higher than any of the other ones. If we go to Sol ETH, which is the Solana versus Ethereum pair, it shows the strength of Solana versus ETH over time. Obviously, if we zoom out, Solana did incredibly well from 2023 from to 2024, where if you would have sold all your Solana, if you would have sold all your Solana for Ethereum back in 2023, you'd be up 10x versus if you would have held it in Solana over that year. Since then, it's corrected since the bear market started, but I think in the very short term, I think it's coiling up to go up. And what I think is going to mean, what this means in layman's terms, is I think Sol is going to outperform ETH in the short term. So yeah, I think a lot of reasons to be very bullish in the short term. What could be the catalyst for these moves up? I think this is a good transition to the I appreciate you, Lux. I'm seeing a lot of you guys start to comment on here. Before I start to go into that, if you guys are just pulling up, maybe you're in the Telegram channel, you're on X, 25 people in the Telegram channel. Shout out to all you guys watching. In the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel, if you guys are watching from X and you haven't joined the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel, definitely check that out. I love posting on X. That's my main social that you'll see me post on. But the Telegram is where I post in-depth kind of write-ups, maybe more long-form versions of what you'll see on X and the different stuff I post, do live streams, giveaways, great stuff from my partner Boss Man as well. But those of you who are watching in there, maybe you're just pulling up right now, we are live on X as well. If you want to join the chat, make sure to check that out. But we are doing a USDC giveaway in maybe about 10 minutes from the comments of this X post, the stream post right here. So if you want to be entered in that, make sure to be in the comments of here. We're going to pick it randomly in about 20 minutes. So shout out everybody already. We're talking Bitcoin, which obviously, if you're new to crypto, pretty much drives the health of the rest of the market. When Bitcoin tops out, the meme coin trenches, the pump fund volume dies out, everything kind of dries up. And then when Bitcoin bottoms out, vice versa. And the same thing with ETH and Sol. So even if you aren't a Bitcoin guy, you don't trade perps, you don't hold any Bitcoin, you're a meme coin, USDC only person, looking at Bitcoin can really give you a picture what the rest of the market could really do. And I think the setup that Bitcoin is in right now does not get it. I'm sorry, what? Here, I'm not sharing it. Oh, really? Are you looking at the? I'm sorry. I thought I was sharing. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was sharing the Bitcoin chart. My bad. Bear with me, guys. This is the first time I'm streaming here in like a month. So, but this Bitcoin setup is cleaner. It really doesn't get any cleaner than this. Super obvious corrective coil up. Real quickly, what makes up a corrective coil up? What kind of behavior? First of all, lack of consolidation, no consolidation up top to make a long-term top. And it makes these choppy corrective-like structures, channel-like structures, where yes, it's heading down, but it has bounces in between, right? It moves down, bounce, What I like to think of these as are kind of price coiling up in kind of a coil before it explodes back to the upside. You'll see these same kind of coil ups play out to the downside as well. In fact, you go to the higher time frames, what we saw in March of this year was a coil up before we exploded back to the downside. These things work different on different time frames. There'll be corrections on the lower time frames and a bigger correction on the higher time frames, vice versa. But not confuse too much. These channel-like structures, what I like to think of them as, you can see an example that played out here on July 18th, which I posted here on X and in the Telegram channel. Price coiled up, no consolidation, price coiled up in this channel-like structure and exploded after the coil up was finished, exploded to new highs. Same thing here, A lot of examples of this over the last few weeks since the bottom started in June 30th. But yeah, I think this one's the most obvious of them all, right into the previous, resistance turned into support. A lot of people like to think of it as. I think what's going to happen over the next few days is price is going to start moving up into the 70K, high 60s, probably 70K. At that point, I think there's a good shot that we do see one more down to end the year, just as everybody starts to get hyped up, just as everybody starts to say the bottom's in, there's no way we go down one more time. I think this corrective-like structure that we're seeing on Bitcoin is very similar to what we saw here in April and very, very similar to what we saw here in December. And if we were to see some topping like, behavior here in 69K, I would not be surprised to see us move one more time down into 50K. At that point, if we were to get that move down or even a retest of 60K, I think that's very likely the bottom, bear market bottom. And I think, believe it or not, again, I would not have told you this at the beginning of this year. I think that we're going to see the 4-year cycle probably play out again. My best case, if we do get this top out here later on this year, is maybe a bottom late this year, early next year. I think 2027 is going to be a very strong year for crypto. And this time we have regulatory clarity, even if the Clarity Act doesn't pass, with stable coins, tokenization with at the SEC, all this different stuff in the works, that I think it's going to be the strongest bull run, maybe the most, if not the most strongest bull run with a retail coming back and everything. I think it's going to be the most stable bull market with tokenized stocks coming on board, hyper liquid with perps, all these different real applications of crypto coming on board, not to mention NFTs and all these different other things, that I think this next bull run is going to be the strongest of them all. And we're very lucky to have these prices right now. This bear market's been brutal, especially for meme coins, especially because meme coins really topped out at the end of 2024, didn't really have that big of a comeback, and then has just been down only since. It's been about 2 years since meme coins have seen their peak. So a lot of people have been, it's been a long bear market. But I think this next bull, there's a lot of reasons to be excited. And I think we see new all-time highs on Bitcoin and at least in the 200, 300K region. Ethereum, real quickly, we could have a whole segment just on ETH, and we probably will here soon. But I think Ethereum, real quickly, I think it climbs up here into the 2300, potentially sees a high later on. And then if it does climb into the 12, 13, 1,000 range somehow later on in this year with one more drop, I think that's the very bottom and is like a freaking going to be a, generational bottom on Ethereum. I think all the institutions, BlackRock, all these guys, if you read into it, they've all picked Ethereum as their chain to start experimenting with tokenization, RWAs. Obviously, you have Robinhood chain, which we're going to talk about in a minute. That is actually Ethereum L2, which feeds back into the L1, all that stuff. They use Ethereum, obviously, as the base currency. RWAs, all this different stuff. The institutions have picked Ethereum as that chain because it hasn't gone down since its existence. All these different things. I think Ethereum sees a bottom here, whether it's in now or it sees one more low. And I think this next bull run sees a new all-time high above 5K, which I think brings a whole new confidence in Ethereum. I think at that point, NFTs get launched into a new bull run. I think a lot of the ETH memes start to go crazy as people start to put that Ethereum into lower cap stuff like we've seen in past bull runs. I think it's going to be in a really exciting time. And if we somehow do get an Ethereum in the low 1,000s, I think that's a obvious buy, despite what everybody's said the last few months. It's always the best time to buy when people on crypto Twitter start saying Ethereum's dead. It's the same thing that happened in April of 2025. And if it happens again, I think we're very lucky. So yeah, Ethereum, Sol, same thing. I think Sol goes up in the short term, very possibly 90, 85, 90. Could see a potential peak later on this year. And then, very strong bull run in 27 and 28. So that's kind of my base case on the majors. I have not checked on the chat. I've been neglecting the chat on X. Shout out to you guys. Let me go ahead and check it out. We got Morgan /on Sol says hi. By the way, if you're tuning in from the Telegram, shout out to you. If you'd like to join the chat on X, make sure to go to X on my X and join the X stream. I need to post this link on the Telegram. Actually, I haven't done that. Let me do that real quick. Let me share. Let's go here. Copy link. Let me add it to. Let me add it to the last thing I just did here. Boom. Okay, awesome. So if you'd like to join the X stream in the chat, make sure you can join on I just edited the last Telegram post I did. The link is in there. Colsey says, what's up, fam? What's up, Colsey? How you doing, brother? Cameron says, yo, you're finally back. Yes, it is good to be back. Love the streaming. Miss you guys. What you think about CASHCAT? We are going to talk about that. Capone, if you are still in here, brother, I appreciate you for the question. We are going to talk about CASHCAT here just a bit, whether I think CASHCAT or ANSEM is a good buy or not, whether I think they've topped out. We'll talk about that. ANSEM really changed the market. Yeah, ANSEM's been exciting. There's a lot of talk on ANSEM. Is ANSEM some kind of pump fund paying ANSEM to reignite the trenches? Is it completely a organic thing? Who knows? Either way, I think it's great. I think the outcome has been kind of a new confidence in holding things in kind of PVE and people kind of being more optimistic and not just like 50K runners being the focus or real like 5-second hold times where people are actually holding stuff. We've seen other plays start to run in the short term. We'll talk about ANSEM as well. T-Mass, Brent, I miss you. Nice to see you too, man. What should we expect in the next few months? So we talked a little bit about it just a second ago. I hope you were able to tune into that. Who asked that? Let's see. We got Morgan. I expect in the next few days to weeks for the majors, Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol to move higher. I think the corrective structures are there. I think the stock market and the risk assets as a whole are strong, and I think they're going to move higher. I think the dollar, we'll talk about in a second, but to really to get in the short term, the corrective chart structure is saying higher in the next couple of weeks, couple days to a couple of weeks. I think Bitcoin heads into the high 60s, potentially low 70s, maybe even mid 70s. Sol moves into the 80s, 90s. Bitcoin ETH moves into maybe mid 2000s at the highest. Potentially in the next couple months, sees based on this corrective chart structure, even though price is moving up the last few months, it's been very choppy versus past bear market bottoms, kind of like we saw here back in March before we came down. Very potentially in the next couple months, could see a top. And then if we were to see that, I think either way, 2027 is going to be very strong for crypto. Whether the bottom is in here, which I think is less likely, or we see one more move down, I think that's going to lead to later on in the year or potentially early next year, a bottom for crypto. And we are going to see a repeat or a very similar repeat, very similar play to how it played out the last few cycles where, end of year, beginning of the next year, we bottom out. And I'm very bullish on 27, 28. This time we're really seeing real adoption of tokenization, tokenized stocks, RWA. We have now Robinhood chain. We know how many retail participants are already on Robinhood chain. Let's say there's any type of retail mania for crypto again, how easily they could turn on a faucet of new users getting onto Robinhood chain, which would then get into Solana and all these other things. So to answer your question, Morgan, I think next few weeks to the next few months, I think a lot of reasons to be bullish. Next few months really, are a question mark as far as price action. But if you're a long-term holder and long-term believer in crypto, it really shouldn't bother you what we do over the next few months anyway. And then I think the next few years, there's so many reasons to be fucking bullish on crypto, NFTs, a lot of different stuff in the digital asset realm. So need this to win. Yeah, we'll look at, if you have any chart requests, I'll definitely look at those here in a bit. Is ANSEM or CASHCAT better? Let's just go ahead and look at that here first, right here in just a second. If you guys could, make sure to like, comment, retweet, share the stream. We are going to pick a winner of the USDC giveaway here in maybe about 10, 15 minutes from the comments of this stream here. Stream post I'm showing you here. It's going to be picked randomly using XPicker, which randomly picks a comment from this stream. Please do not spam it. It will, I think I can toggle it to where it won't register your comment anyway. So I appreciate the extra comments, but it's not going to increase your chances of winning the giveaway. So I see a lot of you guys have commented like 5 times, which I appreciate the love, but yeah, that's how that works, just in case you're wondering. I used to just pick randomly, like, not gonna lie. This is how I used to do the giveaways sometimes before I got XPicker, is I literally would like scroll up and down randomly with my eyes closed and then just boom, okay, Tokyo Yario won. But not anymore. We have real randomization here. Because before, a lot of you guys would spam and yeah, it would increase your chances, but not anymore. You guys aren't slick anymore. What's up, Mike? Nice to see you, bro. Shout out to a lot of you guys. I miss a lot of you guys. What's up, Rafka? Shout out to Dangy. Shout out to Archer. David. Not David, but David. Mutia. What's up, Mike? Boogie. Been following your call since last year. Glad to have you back. Nice to see you, Boogie. Appreciate you, brother. From the Philippines. John, nice to see you. Ice Poppy, hey newbies, Bren, best trencher. So if you guys are new to me, there's probably a lot of newer people in here maybe who've joined the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel or followed me on X from NFTs or something else, who maybe haven't been on the streams before, or maybe you're just new to my content or whatever. Shout out to you, first of all. Welcome. My name is Bren. Kind of what my style is, what might consist of, and what you'll get from these streams is I do a lot of analysis on the majors, chart analysis, which, you know, a lot of people do chart stuff, right? Technical analysis, I don't think is magic, especially not the mainstream stuff that people use, Fibonacci, you know, just like anything, if everybody's using it, there's really no edge in it. And you know, there's a reason why most people using technical analysis is not very accurate. What I look at is probably something that you don't see anywhere else, right? Or not, you know, very often. A lot of people using Elliott Wave will look at market structure and stuff like this, but I break down pretty much every asset into one of 3 phases at any given time, right? And I really think this is the best way to simplify any asset that has any of these kind of charts. Is every asset is either in a impulse, which is a big move up or down, which I showed you earlier an example of. Essentially, you can think of Solana. Here's a perfect example. Out of the bear market bottom in 2023, it impulsed green candles. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not sharing the right one. Damn it. Damn, I think I wasn't sharing for the last few minutes. But anyway, Solana, perfect example of an impulse, which is one of these 3 major phases, right? It impulsed with straight green candles for almost a year, or pretty much a year, right? Corrections, which are the opposite, where price may be moving in one direction, but it's very choppy in nature. For example, the last few weeks of price action on Solana and Bitcoin, right? Yes, it's been moving up since June 7th, but in a very choppy manner. It'll go up for a few days and then it'll chop down for a few days. It'll go up for a few days and take most of that move back. To me, that is very corrective, right? That's a correction. Corrections come in between big impulses or big moves up. And then the third phase, real simply, is peaks, which are tops or bottoms. Tops or bottoms oftentimes are made up of consolidation. Sideways, before price moves, changes direction on the higher time frames especially, usually it's going to have to consolidate in hold a higher low for multiple weeks, months, days, depending on how big it is, and then oftentimes revisits that high or low and then breaks down. So you know, I like to break down the market into 3 phases like that, and I've oftentimes been able to catch very strong moves in both the majors, but on meme coins, other ways, using this kind of chart strategy. So you're going to see a lot of that on these streams. We talk about meme coins. I want this to be a place where people can not only learn and kind of see my analysis and potentially where the market's going to move, my thoughts, catch great plays together like we did last year on the streams, but also a place where you can just learn about everything that's going on in crypto. So I'm going to try my best to do everything in the news, react to everything that's going on in crypto in general. Big stuff going on Robinhood chain, some stuff in AI, share stuff in my life as well. But yeah, this can be a place where you can learn about the majors, crypto, a place together in the chat. Like to make these streams super interactive, looking at the chat the entire time. So if you'd like to say what's up, you have a chart request, anything like that, please make sure to be in the chat. I actually want to do something right now. I'm going to check the chat in a second. But if this is your first time in the stream, whether finding me through Bossman Call's Telegram channel or on X or wherever, make sure to write first time. And if this is your, you were on the streams previously when you were doing it a few months ago or last year, make sure to put, fifth time, third time, however many times, saying, write OG. But yeah, excited to do these streams. We're going to move back to Tuesdays and Fridays at 11:30 a.m. It's a really weird time. We're doing PST. It's a really weird time. It's 5 p.m. PST right now, but I'm kind of digging this. So might do later on in the stream later on in the year as well. But let's go ahead and look at CASHCAT and ANSEM, right? Are CASHCAT and ANSEM a good buy right now? Both of them obviously were very strong earlier on in the month and then have kind of started correcting since, right? Let's go ahead and start with ANSEM. I want to catch up on the chat really quick. Morgan Souls, what should we expect in the last month of the year, 2026? We'll see. I think we're going to see a bottom either way, whether it's in or we see one more low later on in the year. I think the bear market bottom, I think we see by the end of the year if it's not already in. Elon interacted with their post straight to 5 mil. Yeah, we'll look at Swoj right now. I've been hearing a lot about that. What's Sol's possible overall bottom? So if we do get that final bottom later on this year, I would not be surprised to see Sol in the 60s, maybe the 50 region, which would only be, Sol came down to $60 earlier in June. So I could see, 50, maybe a quick low under that, maybe 50, 45, something like that. If I had to guess, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen. I need to get better with that. I'm getting back to streaming. So 52, I could see 40, maybe 50 on a final low. Maybe something looks like this. So I need to remove some of these lines. But yeah. So I think something like this, if we were to see a top later on this year, maybe $40, $50 Sol. What do you think of Layoff? We'll look at Layoff right now too as well. Layoff and Swoj, I'll write that down right now. OG from Telegram on live, appreciate you. Third time, appreciate you for being here. What will happen if tokenization becomes more useful? I think we'll start to see, just like the world moved from analog to the internet, a lot of the world where you go from Web 2 to crypto rails, because blockchain just makes things more efficient. In many ways, makes things faster, finality, makes things more efficient, more transparent with the open ledger and digital ownership, which I actually put out a tweet earlier today where I said NFTs, digital ownership, are simply the next evolution of collecting. The world just doesn't know it yet. Like, I think that same thing applies to so many other different areas with gaming, ownership, RWAs. Like, blockchain and tokenization just going to make the world a lot more efficient. And Ethereum, ETH token, Solana, Robinhood, all these different chains that it lives on, the assets are going to do really well. This is a good time to ape ANSEM again. Yeah, let's look at ANSEM. So to me, simply put, just like we've seen, sorry, were you talking? Oh, I stopped sharing the screen. Simply put, historically, what? Sorry, guys, I'm talking to my producer. I'm not talking to myself, I promise. Okay, perfect. We're back. Simply put, historically, every time that Bitcoin has these bounces, ETH has these bounces, even in bear markets, we see a select group of coins. We see the whole market start to bounce a little bit, but we have a select few group of coins do very well. We saw the same thing back in December of 25, or actually in February of this year, when Solana did really, bounced. We saw Hype. We saw a few other coins do really well. This time around, during this bounce since June, the two main coins have been CASHCAT and ANSEM. Obviously, ANSEM, huge wave. We were talking about a little bit earlier on the show. ANSEM, huge wave around that. Whether it was organic, Pump FUD paid him, who knows? I think it's exciting for the trenches. I do think that we will eventually get a time where creators, legit creators with people who actually consume their content or buy their music or whatever, can attach a token to their name and actually provide real value and utility and make something sustainable. Problem is, those people who are actually, who could do that are not interested in tokenizing their shit yet. ANSEM is big enough and there's enough hype around it where I think it could be something sustainable, and I think it's a peek into something in the future. Either way, you guys watching this right now, you care about whether, and I care about mostly, right, whether price is going to do in the short term. Simply put, if Bitcoin, ETH, and SOL rip higher in the short term, which I think happens, I think ANSEM rips higher as well. Okay? I don't think it's a coincidence that ANSEM's sitting on this 6-day, really 12-day low, because it hit it 160 million here, wicked it, bounced, and then sitting right on this low. It hit it right again on July 15th, bounced, and is retesting it one more time here on July 22nd. It's essentially a 11-day low. I don't think that's a coincidence. Like I said earlier on the stream, big corrective bottoms, or big bottoms in general, or tops, oftentimes have consolidation. As you can see here, it's been consolidating above here for 11 days, like I said, above 159 million. That's a very strong potential sign of a bottom. I think once ETH, Bitcoin, SOL start to rip here, I think we could start to see ANSEM really start to show signs of a bottom. And what would really be the final signs of like, okay, we're back here, we're not just going to continue to chop and go down, is if ANSEM rips above 272 million, 275 million, which was this prior bounce high here. Historically, once you see price go back above these prior bounce highs, it, like, I would say 80-90%, I would say, rip back to all-time highs, or at least retest that prior all-time high. So I think there's a good chance ANSEM, if Bitcoin, ETH, and SOL rip higher from here, ANSEM rips. If it rips above 200, does the 2x from here, I think there's a good chance it revisits that all-time highs. For me, the way I'm playing this is I didn't really get into ANSEM until I wasn't really on that first day it ripped, was kind of AFK. I got into ANSEM at around 100 mil, rode it up to around 400 or 500, which I've took about 60% profit off of. I'm still holding the rest of that, and I did re-add most of my position here. The way I'm playing it is, again, I do think ANSEM has a potential to rip to $1 billion even in a strong bull run. But I'm going to take profits on the way up. Partial profits, which I think is always the way to go, always be taking partial profits, is once it gets close to like a 2x from here, I'm probably going to take 30% off there. Once it rips back above all-time high, I'll be out 50-60%. And as it goes up, I'll take a little bit more, and then holding some in case it's the next, that shit rips to 5 billion. You know what I mean? So I think that's the best approach, is take profits while holding some in case that becomes the next 5-year up-only coin, right? So yeah, that's what I think about ANSEM. I think it's at a very nice place, 11-day low, and I think it very likely rips, as long as it doesn't break through here, rips higher when SOL and ETH start ripping higher here in the next few days, or over the next few weeks, I should say. So I'm bullish on ANSEM, man. I've been adding to it. Also been adding to CASHCAT. I completely slept on CASHCAT on the way up here. Really did not get on Robinhood chain. till again it was close to its peak. Did not buy it. Now I've been adding here between here about 75 and 52. Same kind of thing, guys. It made this low here on June 16th, made a bounce, and now is retesting that low. I think if Ethereum bottoms out here in the next few weeks, that we could see CASHCAT make another run for it. I'm adding the CASHCAT here, same kind of thing. If it gets back to all-time highs or even does a 3 to 5x, I'm going to be taking profits on the way up, and we'll hold the moon bag in case it becomes the next billion-dollar coin and all the normies start bidding it. I think that's always the best approach. Too many people trick themselves into crypto to think they have to be all or nothing, right? They have to sell everything or they have to hold everything. Best thing you can do is sell a little bit on the way up and hold the rest at risk-free. You don't have to worry about it. You're not obsessing over the position, and you are still holding a good amount of it in case it does keep going higher. That's always been, when I started doing that, that was like literally changed everything for me in crypto. Let me know what you think of Swoosh. Yeah, let's look at that real quick. Let's look at Swoosh. So to summarize, right? CASHCAT and ANSEM, are they a good buy right now? Are they dead? I think it's more of the former. I think CASHCAT and ANSEM are going to see at least another run. Long term, very hard to call these things, guys. Doge, obviously the biggest meme coin in the world that had the richest man in the world backing it, right? Went to, what, $70 billion or something? Do I not have Doge right here? In a bear market, which I think we're at the end of a bear market here, but just to show the strongest meme coin in the world with the richest man in the world shilling it every day, went down 90%, right? So long term, really hard to tell, but that's why I think it's best to get in these coins during corrections, take partial profits on the way up, get your gains locked in, and then hold some in case it does become the next Doge. Okay? So yeah, CASHCAT and ANSEM short term I think are good buys. I'm personally taking profits on the way up, and yeah, that's how I'm playing it. So Swoosh though. Swoosh. What I'm really trying to do with these streams too, guys, is make them more structured, less freestyling. I always have stuff written down on what I'm going to talk about, but I'm really trying to keep these structured. We're going to start to have little bubbles at the bottom that show exactly what we're talking about, so that if you just hop back into the stream, you know exactly what we're talking about. Swoosh. Interesting. Okay, this is the first time I'm looking at the Swoosh chart. What I can tell you is really interesting is the price action that it showed here. Actually, I love seeing these coins like this that actually give you, dude, this gave you 2 days to get in between 330K and 1.1 million. Okay. Let me check. TG, we still got 26 people watching, dude. Shout out to you guys. If you're just hopping in the Telegram, we are actually streaming on X as well. So the way that these streams are going to work for the foreseeable future, we're moving back to Tuesdays and Fridays for now at 11:30 a.m. PST. Right now it is 5:13 p.m. PST. So we're doing it a little bit later today. But we are going to be multi-streaming to 3 places for now. X, which is going to be kind of the main hub for now, with YouTube as well. Both places you can chat and it'll show up on the stream at the bottom left there. You see, I don't think we have the chat up right now actually, but we do at the bottom. And I do obviously put some of them to pin them to the screen, like I have Real Masters right now. But YouTube, X, and then to the Telegram right now. So if you are not in the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel, definitely check that out. It is in the bio of my X profile. If you are in the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel, you'll be seeing the stream. You will not be able to join the chat, obviously. So if you want to do that, make sure to go on X. Follow me on X if you aren't already. If you aren't following me on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, I'd be much appreciated if you could show some love on there. We're going to definitely get those going this year and into the future as well. So appreciate that. So Swoosh though, Really liked this structure. It actually gave you 2 days to enter. What did I tell you earlier on in the stream? This is the third time I'm going to repeat this. Try to drill this in your head so you could start to see these yourself. I'm going to like, tell me in the chat. I'll go ahead and check here in a second. But while I'm doing this, what do you notice here? What am I depicting from this box? What did you see in this box here before we that could have possibly showed us that we were going to get a big reversal and a big move up here? That is consolidation. Consolidation, right? What do I mean by consolidation? If you don't know what that means, totally fine. Consolidation is essentially where price holds a low and a high, trades in between a low and a high for a extended period of time. And essentially, it's what it sounds like. Price is consolidating. It's going sideways. This is a big sideways. Obviously, it's a 60% move up, or a 3x move, 60% difference from low to high. I'm sorry, I got a 3x difference, 2x difference from low to high. But what did price do once it was done? You know, holding above this low at 338, it rocketed a new all-time high. So this kind of price, if you would have believed in swole Doge back in yesterday, it gave you 2 days to enter. You could have entered in this consolidation. You just could have seen price holding this low here. Oh, it held it once, retested it twice, a third time, fourth time, went back, didn't break it. That could have been a really strong sign that this thing is getting a lot of buyers. So yeah, congrats on that. What I would look at from now, again, I don't know anything about Swole Doge or the community or anything like that. I do think the Robinhood chain, now that we're on it, Robinhood chain, is it going to see long-term success? I think there's two ways to look at it. And I think there's two ways to look at any of these new chains that pop up. The short term, almost every time we've seen a new chain pop up, at least a new meme coin kind of mania pop up on a new chain. We saw it on Sui. We saw it on Telegram chain before for a little bit in 2025, I think. Robinhood chain now. We've seen it on a bunch of other chains, right? Usually for the first few days, weeks, sometimes a month or two, you'll start to see a big run where there might be a couple waves. Binance chain, BNB, right? You'll see a couple waves of these these runners. Well, they'll last for a few weeks. They might run a 10 mil, 20 mil, 50, 100, 200, 500 million, and then usually they'll die out. What we're seeing with Robinhood, a lot of it depends on how the majors are doing at that time, right? Usually when the majors top out, the chain of the week or the chain of the month dies out with the majors, like I was saying earlier. But if it's in a time where the majors are strong, sometimes it has a couple of waves. And I think that's what the Robinhood is doing. Robinhood chain is doing. So I think, like we were talking about CASHCAT, I think we're going to see another wave of these Robinhood coins in the next couple weeks and couple months continue to be strong. But if the majors do see another downside, I think that will die out in the short term. But long term, where Robinhood is different. This is not Sui we're talking about. This is not Ton we're talking about. Where people, crypto natives are using this. Robinhood has access to hundreds of millions or whatever of people using their app, where if crypto starts to heat up again, they can turn on the faucet to where a bunch of people can get onto the Robinhood chain. They could list CASHCAT. Who knows if that's going to happen, stuff like that. To where I think short term, I think it continues. Robinhood continues to stuff like Swoosh continues to do well. CASHCAT maybe runs to 300, 400, 500 million. But long term, in the next 6 months to a year to 2 years, I think Robinhood could be a serious contender, because I think there's a lot that they can do to get new people onto the chain, which other chains have nowhere near. Even Ethereum itself doesn't have access to like new people like that. So yeah, Swoosh though, I'm going on a little bit of a rant. I think that'll be a good clip though. Swoosh. I think what we're seeing on Swoosh here is early signs of a correction. Very rarely do we see just like a little cup here and it just goes to all-time highs. What I think is going to happen, who asked this? Real S Master 9 minutes ago. What I think we're going to see here and what we're looking at here on Swoosh is the beginning of a bigger correction. where maybe it pops up and chops for a little bit, sees another low, maybe sees another couple lows. If we were to see something like this where it forms these channel-like structures, I think that'd be very healthy. And is actually what you want to be seeing during these big moves up. Like we saw a huge move up here. The healthiest thing that could happen is if it showed a correction for a couple days to a couple weeks even. How big will that correction be? Well, we're already down about 25% here. If this thing were to go down to 50 to 75% even and bounce back before the end of the month, I think that'd be a very good sign. So maybe something like this, that'd be about a 60% correction. And if it plays out in a kind of choppy, bouncy like structure like this, I think that's a very good time to continue to hold, potentially add to it. But with that being said, if you're in at 400K, 500K, anything below this 900K and you haven't taken any profits yet, I would consider doing that, taking some partials. Always a good thing to do. Glad to hear that I put all my soul in ANSEM. Yeah, I mean, never, what's up, BroFit? Shout out to you. Everybody follow BroFit if you haven't already. He does a lot of stuff in fitness, does live streams on X, but as well as does a lot of stuff to help people in fitness as well. He puts out a lot of free stuff, but just a lot of value as well. So definitely check out his page. Just a great guy in general as well, not even the fitness stuff aside. Very right to control loss, just take partial profit. Yeah. Swoosh is the first coin he's interacted with since Doge. Interesting, I didn't see that. So now it's entered consolidation again. That Swoosh Elon interacted with today, and that's why I broke out. Gotcha. Any chance I can DM you later about one CT influencer being unfair and almost scamming me? Yeah, I don't really like to focus too much on drama. I know there's a lot that stuff that goes on in crypto. I think crypto with the ability to be anonymous, right, opens a lot of good stuff, bad stuff. But yeah, DM me. I'm always happy to talk it up to people, chop it up with people from the stream. Obviously, if you haven't already, follow me on X. If you're just seeing my stream from somewhere else, detailed analysis. Appreciate you. So yeah, to kind of conclude what I'm saying about Robinhood Chain, I think Robinhood Chain short term continues with the majors. If the majors do top out later this year, like I was talking about, and for those of you guys maybe you don't know the majors, what I'm talking about when I say majors, people have different definitions. I usually talk about the big three cryptos, the ETH, Bitcoin, and Sol. That's when I talk about majors. I guess you can include some other coins in the majors category as well, but that's essentially what I'm saying. Usually Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol. What do we see here, guys? Live on stream. What do we see this play out? What did I say earlier on in the stream? Very, very obvious corrective structure that I think leads to upside in the next few days. We're starting to see a pump here. Again, we could easily see this come down back into 65K, so do not go to your screen right now and fucking 100x long on Hyperliquid, but I think there's a good setup. That leads me to also say, before I do this giveaway, which I know a lot of you guys are hanging out for, Hyperliquid. I do have a bigger Hyperliquid account that I have been using for a long time that I do not plan or wish to share the, what's it called with, the address with. I just like to keep that anonymous. Certain stuff I have in there as well. This one, for last year on the stream, we hit a lot of great setups. Kind of my bread and butter, where I've been able to be very accurate, kind of applying this strategy, this three-phase strategy, chart strategy that I talked about earlier on in the stream. Definitely check that out if you weren't able to catch it. Where I've had a lot of success, on these streams together, looking at different chart setups. We've been able to capitalize. I'm sure a lot of you guys were longing and shorting based on this different stuff I'm talking about. I want to actually apply that and show. I want to do more of a. I like how Thread Guy and all these people kind of paint the vision that we're gonna. A lot of the biggest influencers or the biggest people on social media are going to be people who are traders and investors and analysts and crypto people and different stuff. And I think that makes sense. I think world is going to go more towards trading and investing and stuff like that. And I'm always shown analysis and where I think the market's going to go, but I want to show more live trading and actually show that you can apply what I'm talking about in these streams to make money, not just leverage trading, which is one way of doing things, but also through spot trading and different stuff like that. So I want to be more transparent and show that you can apply what we're doing on these streams live. So we're starting out with this Hyperliquid account. I loaded it with, I think it was $3,000 earlier this week. I think it was about 8 days from now. And I'll post the link to it so you can follow it if you'd like. But essentially going to use this to apply the different chart setups and different stuff we're talking about in the market to long, short, different things. I can show you directly how I use perps somewhat responsibly. So you can see how I place long, shorts, chart setups, stop losses, all that different stuff. I think it'll be easier to apply the different stuff we talk about and teach on the streams live on here. So essentially what we have here, as you guys can see, I am long using 20x leverage. I do not recommend using 20x leverage normally. I would recommend using no more 5 to 10x leverage. But for this type of challenge, which I don't really like to call it, I'm using higher leverage. I am going to dial it down to 10x leverage once I get the account to $10,000. But I recommend first and foremost using no more than 5 or 10x leverage. Leverage trading, perp trading should not be your end all be all. You should not be trying to, at least not at first, make it your main thing. I think that perp trading should be 10, 15, 25% of your portfolio at most, and you use 75% to be in Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, the spot coins that you can buy and hold. Because what we saw, like we saw in 1010 last year, some crazy shit can happen. You can get your whole account wiped out. You'd hate to have your entire account in the perps, right? That's not sustainable. Obviously, 1010 is like a once in a lifetime thing. It's very rare that everybody's going to get wiped out like that. But either way, you want to, a few things you can learn from what I just said. No more than 10x leverage. Use a stop loss on every single trade. Stop loss, stop loss, stop loss. Have a target for where you're going to take profits on, etc. But I think this is a good way we're going to be able to trade together and apply a lot of the stuff we're talking about on stream. So right now I am long Solana with a pretty big size for the account. Obviously, this is not size in general. This is a $3,000 account. But for the account, I'm pretty long Sol. My plan on here for Sol, guys, is once it reaches $80, I am going to take 25% of the position off. And what I'm actually going to do, especially because of how volatile the majors have been, as you can see, even though we've been getting moves up here on the majors, that's been very choppy. So it's very advantageous to take partial profits very aggressively when trading during this environment. So my plan here is I am very long, but I'm at $80, for example, or even if we don't get to $80 by the end of tomorrow and at midnight, tomorrow morning, I'm going to take 15% off and continue to move my stop loss more into profit. That's the goal. Get risk-free. And then once we get another short-term correction, potentially reload. But what I'm doing here is I'm taking partial profits, 15, 25, 30% of the position, the stop loss in profit or at break even, so that at that point you can't lose. And essentially the point of perps is to not necessarily get rich or to be your only thing, but it's to speculate on the short-term moves and to get really wealthy and rich long-term off of the buying and holding the spot coins, right? So up $860 currently on Solana, a Sol long, and about 26% of the account. My plan here is to take profits here either the end of tomorrow or take a good chunk off if it gets to $80 and continue to speculate on the short-term moves. Again, I'd really like to see Solana go up to $85, $90, which I think is possible by the end of this correction or the end of this move up. But yeah, this is exciting. We're starting to see this move start to play out during the stream. Let me know in the chat if you're long Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, if you're buying. Let me know what you're doing in general, guys. What do you think about Robinhood and NFTs? Great question, Morgan. You're coming with the fucking fire questions tonight. Shout out to everybody who's asking questions in the chat. Robinhood NFTs. I think this brings up a good point, and I think it's a thesis that I've been saying for the last few years, and obviously has not played out yet because Ethereum, a few things. Ethereum has reached all-time highs a few times, but has just failed to break. We've seen markets obviously top out. Crypto markets topped out earlier this year. But I think at some point, as Ethereum makes new all-time highs, as meme coins start to heat up probably next year, there's going to be a time where meme coin NFTs, meaning NFTs attached to certain meme coin communities, are going to do very well. That niche, the meme coin NFT niche, is going to be very strong, and it makes sense, right? People in meme coin communities are super cult. They love their community. They want an on-chain digital representation that they can put as their PFP. We're already seeing the Aeons, the Aeons, the SPX, whatever. Aeons, what are they called? Something Aeons. Those have reached 2+ ETH when SPX was at $1 billion, 2 billion market cap or whatever. We have the Sproto Gremlins, but I think we're going to see that take off. Robinhood is an example right now of some of these meme coin NFTs off Robinhood have done well. Some of them haven't. I think you have Stonk Brokers or whatever. I think that's on Robinhood, correct? I think, and I think that'll continue as these chains gain strength. Again, a lot of it is based on how crypto's doing. Once we see Ethereum break this all-time high, guys, next year, I think we're going to see NFTs do very well. If you've been watching my content on X, you've seen I've been very, very heavy on NFT content, especially when there was nothing going on a few months ago. I'm a huge believer that over the next few years, NFTs as a technology, because of collecting video games, RWAs, are going to ignite kind of another bull run in NFTs. People are going to start to discover the technology, but the few, maybe 3 to 5 IPs from 2021 that are starting to see some mainstream exposure, the Pudgy Penguins, the V-Friends, the Bored Apes in certain ways, are going to start to gain traction as mainstream brands, which make those NFTs very important in the long term. So we can talk more about NFTs later on. If you're an NFT person who came in maybe from NFT content over the last few months, welcome. Learn more about crypto. We'll be talking about NFTs on the show as well. Thanks. Please don't. I'll check the DM, brother. Never. I'll check at the end. Thomas, you think Jimothy? Yeah, we'll look at Jimothy too. That's another big one. Let's look at that really quickly. I have not touched Jimothy at all. I know Bossman, my partner, is in that, I believe. 38 million. Holy shit. I remember looking at this earlier today. Wow. What I will say is this correction here that had in July was a beautiful time to get in. If you got in on this correction here, shout out to you, dude. 17. Dude, wow. Bottomed out on the 20th, less than 48 hours ago. Or a little bit more than 48 hours ago, about 60 hours ago. Holy shit. It's ripped about 6x in 48 hours after already going up from 0 to 18 million. So I think this is all this. I wish I was looking at this, man. Damn, I slept on this. I would have told you if we would have looked at this on the stream 5 days ago. Beautiful corrective channel. Even though it came down 75%, you notice here it wasn't just straight down. It went down, bounce, went down, bounce, went down, bounce, and then consolidated for a couple of days. That would have been your sign, maybe to enter here, take profit on the way up. Beautiful beautiful move. What does it do from here? It's really a no man's land, right? I think that it's very possibly starting one of these corrections. Oftentimes you'll see in any of these coins, what it does in one correction, oftentimes it'll repeat again. A lot of these times, some people might say that's because of the market maker that's behind the coin, runs it in a certain way. Who fucking knows why? But a lot of times you'll see what it does in one correction, oftentimes it'll do in the next. So the corrections on this, you had this one big correction here, and then it's had a few kind of sharp corrections since. I think what it's very likely doing is starting the beginning of one of the sharp type corrections. So maybe you see something like this. But I mean, oftentimes you'll see these runners continue to run again as long as ETH and SOL are strong. Okay, so I just got informed by my producer, which if you aren't, what's it called? If you aren't following him already, let's see. Let's fucking pull his shit up. Gotta get him on fucking. Why isn't it coming up when I type? Can't. Okay, there. Can't stop me now. Definitely share him. Follow him as well. He's been helping me with the streams for like over a year now. Good buddy of mine. Very, very, very smart in the AI e-commerce realm. He's actually been helping a few businesses in landscaping, a few other realms, get a lot of business online, especially using AI. So definitely follow him for just, expertise on that. And potentially if you're looking to up your business in e-commerce in that realm, maybe reach out to him. But he's a fucking beast. He just informed me though that Roku, I guess, Roku Jimothy, Jimothy made it to Roku. So is Jimothy, okay, so that was yesterday. Okay, that's why I probably saw that big explosion. Gotcha. I appreciate that. Jimothy, what is Jimothy anyway? It's just a TikTok thing, or what is it? I don't even know. Yeah. Okay. I guess I'm sleeping on Jimothy. I don't know the lore. But yeah. Let's see. Are we moving up? Still kind of lagging. What's Soul doing? Soul is moving. What is Soul ETH? What I say about Soul ETH, guys? What I fucking say about Soul? Look at that. Damn. I think it might be bottom for Soul ETH, guys. For those of you who don't know, you might I'm speaking freaking Chinese. Soul ETH is essentially the ratio of Solana versus ETH. It measures the strength of Solana versus Ethereum over time. Obviously, last bull run, Solana absolutely clobbered ETH. If you would have sold all your ETH for Solana at the bottom of the 2023 bear market down here and held all the way up until 2024, about a year and 4 months later, you would have been up 10x versus just holding Ethereum. So obviously, since the bear market started last year, Solana's actually been down about 50% versus Ethereum. But in the very short term, guys, I think there's a lot of reasons to be bullish. I think we've seen a bottom here in the short term, and we very potentially could push back towards that high we saw in July, earlier in July, which would be about a 20% move. So if we were to do that, I think Solana is going to outperform ETH in the short term, at least, and is why I'm actually long Sol right now. Again, if you're just pulling up right now, I'm looking for a 85 to 90 Sol in July and August probably before you potentially see a top or some type of friction leading into the midterms. I do want to do that giveaway. If you're tuning in for the giveaway, I appreciate you guys so much. We still have 21 watching on the Telegram. Appreciate everybody for being here. We went a little bit over Robinhood. I do think Robinhood short term going to continue with ETH, Bitcoin, Sol. I do think the main runners, the CASHCATs, the Jimothys, Jimothy's on Sol. What did we go over earlier? The Swoosh. A few of those other main runners will continue in the short term, and then long term, I think Robinhood really has access to retail traders that no other chain has, even Ethereum itself. Retail trader wise, Robinhood could be right up there with Solana if we get any type of retail mania, because they have so many people using the Robinhood app that if they make it easy for people to get on chain and potentially list CashCat, something like that, it could do damage in a good way. So yeah, we went over Robinhood, some of the majors. I think we go up short term, next couple of weeks, very bullish. Clarity Act. Let's go over that really quick. So I'll go and give my thoughts. Clarity Act, Brian Armstrong put out the Clarity Act is ready for a full Senate vote. The bill represents a true bipartisan thing. U.S. Senate Republicans released new Crypto Clarity Act draft bill. So Cynthia Loomis said, history, remember this is the moment as a president chooses the higher standards of ethics. Okay, so it looks like they're ready to vote on it. Polymarket. Why is Polymarket? Oh, do I have to have a VPN? Why is this? Polymarket where I'm at's not working for some reason. Can you, Jesse, Can you tell me what it says on Polymarket for Clarity Act signed into law in 2026? Or maybe somebody in the chat. But yeah, it looks like they're ready to vote on it. Guys, I've been saying this for a while. Short term, I think because price is already moving up, if this thing got passed, especially because it's such a question mark right now, this could ignite like a short term big move up, spike up in Bitcoin. I do think there's a good chance, good reason that we could get a top later on in the year regardless. But long term, the Clarity Act, just like the Stablecoin Act did, is just very, very bullish. It puts clarity, just like it sounds, in the industry that allows for the first time for people to know what they can and can't do in crypto, for funds to know what they can and can't do as far as investing other people's money, for creators, influencers to know what they can and can't do in NFTs and crypto and these different things, and which will unlock a bunch of new money and stuff to come in. And what a lot of these politicians have said can make it kind of foolproof, so that if a Democratic president comes in a couple years, or whoever, can't kind of undo any of the progress that crypto's made. So whether it creates a short-term pump or not, like I think it could, it's a very bullish long-term over the next couple years, and makes it a higher chance that we're going to get a kind of a super cycle, more stable bull runs in like the stock market, instead of like these big boom and bust bear markets like we've had in the past. But 38%. So yeah, Clarity Act on Poly Market is 38% to get passed. Obviously, that might be a good bet now. Still, you got a 2x. You got a 2x on it, because you get a 2x on it if it does pass in the next whatever. It does look like they're ready to vote on it by August. So new crypto ethics rules, I guess it says the president, vice president, members of Congress, federal judges, other covered officials and their spouses would be banned from issuing or promoting digital assets. Wow. So Trump coin, something like that couldn't happen again. They would also have to sell their crypto investments. Wow. Place them in blind trust they do not control, or both. So they couldn't own the crypto. That's interesting. Crypto sales above 1,000 must be disclosed. The DOJ could pursue civil violations, including against exchanges that knowingly list prohibited tokens. Protection for crypto developers, non-custodial, I need to plug in my laptop, non-custodial software developers and blockchain infrastructure providers could not automatically be treated as money transmitters, which that's good. Stablecoin rewards companies could not pay passive interest. Okay. Oh, was I muted? Can you hear me now? How long was I muted for? Perfect. Perfect. Just like literally 2 seconds? Oh, okay. Damn. So you couldn't even hear me talk about the ethics rules and shit? You hear me now? Fuck. Maybe it's not playing through the mic. Hold on. Okay. Tell me if that works now. Hello? Okay, cool. Sorry, guys, we're having some technical difficulties. But yeah, I went over that. I don't know if you guys could hear me, but essentially a bunch of new rules. Looks like they came to an understanding on the staking and like the rewards. It looks like staking rewards will still be allowed. But yeah, we'll be watching this. I think there's a good chance it does get voted on and passed at the last second, which would be exciting. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm back. I had to shut my window. But okay. So good one to analyze, kind of like Moodang and Peanut. Yeah, okay. Let me catch up on this chat. What is up, Still Tripping? How you doing, brother? Thank you for the input, DCA, and after first pump and sitting nice. Yep. How about Ket? We'll look at Ket after I do this giveaway here in a second. With Clarity Act possibly passing soon and midterms coming up, what do you think of Bernie? Okay, like Bernie Sanders. I hear you. Okay, perfect. But let's see. Superman Dance has got my dad in the space tonight. Damn, shout out to your dad. Dude, fuck yeah. Thank you, bro. Shout out to Superman Dan's and his dad. I literally love your voice. Thanks, Aisha. Robinhood chain doing well so far. If the prediction holds true, which sector do you think will lead the next rally? Meme coins, AI, DeFi, or RWA? I think it'll be a lot of both, right? Or all of the above, right? Meme coins for sure. I don't think meme coins are ever going to die. AI, we know how big AI is going to be in the future. I think there'll be a crypto and AI will work together in general, and I think there'll be a strong narrative. And then DeFi, I think is going to have another run in certain select things, and RWA as well. I think it's all of the above, man, as the world becomes more tokenized. How to open live chat? I can't. Watching. Oh, I hope you were able to figure it out, Looks. Okay, let's do this giveaway. I'm going to go ahead and open up Tweet Picker or X Picker. Why is this not working? Okay, let's do this. Yeah, I was trying to. So X Picker, is it just where I'm at now? Okay, let's try this one. Okay. Reply. Okay, they don't have the reply one. Twit pick. Winner count. All right, guys, I'm Z Tools. Name one winner. Let's see. Wask. Okay. All right. So from the. Okay. All right. Again, this is going to remove if you posted more than once, but find winners. Okay. Numbers of minimum mention, numbers of winner. Okay. 107 people attending the sweepstakes. Shout out to 107 people that commented on that. You guys are the best. Again, going to continue to do these streams Tuesdays and Fridays again, 11:30 a.m. PST. Did a lot later today. Tried out a new time, just saying what's up to people who later on in the US, 6 p.m. for me here in California. But Tuesdays, 11:30 a.m. PST, talking everything crypto, markets, collectibles, digital, or NFTs. Be talking about different stuff going on with me. Come here to chat or to learn everything going on in the markets or to catch some good setups. Last year, USDC, Pump, SPX, a lot of these coins we analyzed and caught near the bottom where most people were doubting these coins. Caught a lot of great setups, made a lot of good plays together last year, learned a lot together. Excited to continue that. So number of minimum mentions, find winners. The winner is, here I have to redo it, hold on. Oops. Let's go. Oops, where'd it go? Wask. Okay, here, okay, I'm entering it again. The winner is, I have to create it, oh my God. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. Okay, winner is, number of winners, find winners. Oh my, it's making me fucking pay now. Okay, let's try this one. tweet picker, whatever, the one I usually read is down for some reason from replies. Jesus Christ. Jesse, can you try, go to tweetpick.com. Tell me if that works for you. Because the one I usually work that's free usually works. Let's see, link, minimum number of followers, 0, number of winners. Okay. It's not working for you either? X picker? Maybe the API or something with X. Because there's a lot of them are giving me trouble. I'm going to pick it either way right now anyway. Just give me 2 seconds. If I have to do it manually or something, I will. Okay, let's see. I think it's giving me one. Okay, the winner is David Johnson. David Johnson here. David, congrats, brother. Go ahead and DM me, and I will send you, DM me your Sol USDC address, and I'll send you 100 USDC. And then the second winner is from the chat. I'll go ahead and pick tonight is Morgan Sol. Been asking a lot of great questions as well. So David Johnson and then Morgan Sol, which I'm following you back now. Congrats, you guys are both the winners of 100 USDC. I'll send you that after the stream. We aren't logging off just yet, but congrats to the winners. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate it. The least I can do for hopping on the stream and hanging out for a while. Again, Tuesdays, Fridays, 11:30 a.m. PST. Can always watch it back on X, YouTube. Going to be really heavily focused on getting these different, last year I remember at one point we were having 100 to 150 concurrent viewers on the stream on average, or at some points in the stream last year. So maybe 150, 1,000 people would be see the stream, but we were doing some clips that would get 2, 3, 5, 10,000 views, but I think this information and what we're catching together on the stream could reach a lot more. So not only on X, going to be doing a lot of clips, but also on other platforms as well. So if you guys could do me a huge favor, if you saw any value from the streams, or you could just help me out, go to the other socials at the top right, the Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and X if you haven't already. Bossman Calls Telegram in the bio, and follow me on each of those. The only one that's different, I believe, that is not Bren Trades of some sort is the Instagram. I just changed to Bren Official _. I think I'm gonna go towards the Bren Official route on the other ones, but anyway, Bren Official and Bren Trades. If you find me on each of those, be much appreciated. I'll shoot you a follow back. Shoot me a DM as well. But appreciate 107 of you, or at least 107 comments. I know a lot of you guys spammed, but a lot of you guys commented on it. Much appreciated. Definitely look out for more giveaways on the next stream as well. We went over a little bit of, again, Sol, ETH, Bitcoin. I think go higher in the short term, next couple weeks, next couple months. Could face some headwinds going into midterms, but I think the next few years, very, very bullish. A lot of reasons to be bullish on crypto. I think we will get another bull run in 27, 28. And then Robinhood, I think, is here to stay. Short term, going to continue. Midterm, couple months, who knows, just like Bitcoin and ETH. Long term, I think, has a very good chance to stick around with a lot of retail participants using Robinhood application. Clarity Act, we talked about a little bit. Looks like they're ready to vote on it. They've already put out a new draft bill that pretty much puts out exactly, different things that they weren't agreeing on, the banks and the crypto people, like rewards. It looks like that kind of stuff has been worked out, and they're ready to vote on it before the August recess, which is next month. Hopefully that gets passed. I think that could ignite a short-term bull run, but same thing, I think long-term extremely bullish on that. CASHCAT and ANSEM we went over, same thing as Jimothy. CASHCAT though, I think CASHCAT and ANSEM, not a coincidence that they're both at major lows right now, and that they've been consolidating above 43 million for CASHCAT And for ANSEM, it's been consolidating for almost a week at 150. I think we see ANSEM shift off this low here, guys. I'm not, sorry. I didn't show the screen. ANSEM, I think we shift off this low. I don't think there's any coincidence that it's holding this 12-day low here right when Bitcoin, ETH, and Solar are starting to move out of these corrections I've been talking about. I think ANSEM very likely seen its bottom here, might hit that 165 low one more time, but I think it has a good chance of attacking 272 and then very potentially the all-time highs at 400 million. That's usually what we see when the majors are bouncing and moving up, is that a few select coins do very well, and I think that's what we're going to see from ANSEM. CASHCAT, same kind of thing, guys. Literally sitting at this low, not a coincidence. Been holding this low here for 6 days. I think very good chance holds above 40 and moves above 88, very possibly back to that 200 million all-time high if the majors continue up for a few weeks or a few months. So yeah, hope you partner with Stake. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm really trying to partner with the casinos, not trying to shit on those who do. I know there's a lot of money on those in that kind of thing for people who promote that kind of stuff. I don't think I'm necessarily big enough anyway to get a crazy fucking stake deal yet. But even if I were to get that big, I think I make enough with the trading and other stuff. Could get other partnerships that I'm not sure I would do casino type of shit. But thank you, Bossman, for everything. Thank you, Thomas, or T-Moss. Bossman is a go. Yeah, Bossman is great. Everybody go follow Bossman if you haven't already as well. But anything else? If you guys want me to look at some specific charts, I think there's a lot of reasons to be bullish on strong coins right now. I think July and August are going to be very good times for markets. We could see a top out. Did not look at the other charts actually on TradingView, which I probably should. The S&P 500, guys, I think is at a very interesting place as well, okay? S&P 500, obviously crypto has been pretty not correlated to the stock market. Stock market's been moving up all of April since March till now. Crypto's been mostly sideways and down during that time. But when stock market is strong, historically crypto's strong as well. And if the stock market, let's say, were to put in a top, which we'll talk about that potentially right now, I do think that would bring crypto lower. Now, stock market, S&P 500 has been holding this high at 7,600 since June 1st. What has it done? Came down, been holding that low, came down one more time, but it's still technically below that 7,500 low. What have we seen every other time that S&P 500 over the last few years has held a high for more than a month? Here, dating all the way back to 2021 here. Every time it's done this since 2021, we've seen a big reversal of at least 10 to 25%. What do we see here? Back here on October 21st, after COVID, we saw a bottom in March of 2020, and then December of 2021, a year and 9 months later, S&P 500 tops out at 4,600, holds this high, fails to break for 2 months, and what did it do from there? Fell to the tune of 25% before moving higher. What happened here? December of 2024, again, Bitcoin held 6,000. I keep saying Bitcoin. S&P 500 held 6,000 from November to February. What did it do when it failed to break that high in February? Fell to the tune, everybody remembers this, it was that nasty tariff correction. It fell to the tune of another 15, 20%. What did it do? Went up after that. What did it do here in January of 26? Went sideways for 2 months, held this high at 6,900, fell another 15%. What are we seeing here? Already held this high since May of 26, it's now July, 2 months. If S&P 500 fails to break this high in the next few months, the next few weeks, I think there's a good chance that we see another repeat of this and this and this, which then could create that high that I'm talking about in Bitcoin that takes us down one more time. What would that come with? I think there might be a lot of stuff to continue to keep an eye on with the war, right? We're already seeing oil start to spike back to all-time highs. If oil goes back to all-time highs, the war is raging, there's a very good chance, guys, that they're going to have to start to up interest rates. upping interest rates is not what the market wants to see. We want to see lower interest rates, closer to zero as possible. If we are up interest rates, that could easily spook the market and send us down one more time, maybe 10 to 15%. Maybe, you know, I have a sharp move depicted here, but more realistically, see something like this. You know, a choppy correction, just like we saw the other ones I showed you. If we were to get something like that, I think Bitcoin does get that move back down to 50 one more time. And I would be shorting the S&P 500 here if that were to happen. So just other stuff to look at, showing you how the markets are correlated. That could be potentially what kind of creates that high on Bitcoin over the next couple of months. So anyway, talked about a lot. S&P 500 potentially could be putting in a high. Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, I think have a while longer to go. US oil, I think, continues to climb higher. I don't know if the war continues to ignite, but if the oil makes a new all-time high, I think they're going to have to up interest rates. And then I've been keeping my eye on, again, on the SpaceX. I think at some point over the next couple months, maybe a couple years, next year or so, this will put in a bottom. I think SpaceX is going to be an incredibly influential company and eventually does make new all-time highs in the next couple of years. So something to keep an eye on. And yeah, let's check the chat real quick. Have you seen GME Bull? Let's go and look at a few of your guys' coins real quick. I have seen GME Bull posted a few times. Obviously, guys, be careful a lot with these roaring kitty type memes. While there is, you know, the Robinhood, you know, GME connection, I get. It's just when you get into a lot of these derivative lands, you know, when the music stops, a lot of the times these coins die out pretty quickly. So this one already down about 50%, pretty clean correction, but you know, I would like to see this do something like this and consolidate for a couple days, and it could definitely run higher. But sometimes you see coins go up like this and then die out. I would like to really see it come down one more time and then hold a low for a day or two. If it's able to do that, I could easily see this run higher. But I think overall, Robinhood, oh, this is on Solana. Yeah, I mean, price action's pretty decent. We looked at Jimothy a little bit a while ago. Jimothy I think is in the middle, starting a correction right now. But yeah, we've been on for an hour and a half. Wow, time flew. Honestly, I fucking love streaming, guys. Definitely, like I said, Tuesdays and Fridays. Make sure to set a reminder. We will actually be, every stream from now on, we'll be posting a reminder on X and in the Telegram, so you'll be able to see a reminder of, you know, that Tuesdays and Fridays, but expect every Tuesdays and Fridays, unless I say otherwise, 11:30 a.m. PST, which again is about 6.5 hours ago. You know, 6.5 hours before this. Make sure to look out for that. Make sure to follow all the socials at the top. Much appreciated. Bossman calls Telegram if you're not on already. And I would say, man, just stoked to see everybody still here. That's still pushing. The fact that we're still able to have 438 people view this in a time where, you know, crypto's been pretty fucking slow. It's amazing. So love you guys. Continue to learn, push. I think there's a lot of opportunity in the markets. ANSEM, CASHCAT, I think, are two ones that are going to continue to see strength. But like anything, the music could stop at any time for the majors. We talked about how S&P 500 could potentially put in a top if the war, interest rates continue to go up, stuff like that. So make sure to lock in your gains. That's one thing you'll hear me say on these streams is I'm a big believer in investing in long-term holds in the right stuff, but at the same time taking profits on the way up. It's the best of both worlds. You're able to lock in gains while still believing in something. It's trading. It's not trading, stop trading and believe in something. It's you can trade and believe in something at the same time. So anyway, hope everybody's having a great week so far, having a great month and a great summer. You know, if you're enjoying your summer, you're younger, you're in college, whatever, or enjoying time with your kids, whatever you're doing, stay safe. I will be back again Tuesday. I'm sorry. Next one will be Friday, 11:30 a.m. PST. We'll go ahead and see and come back to Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol. Again, I think by next stream we will have moved higher, in my opinion. on the majors, probably higher on CASHCAT and ANSEM as well, but we'll go ahead and check it out next time we come on stream. Make sure to follow all the socials, and I will see you guys on Friday. Love you guys. Morgan, Juke, T-Moss, A1, Creed, everybody for logging on. Appreciate everybody. See you guys on Friday. Also tomorrow, been doing a lot of, like I said, NFT content, spaces every single week around VFriends. One of the biggest NFT, pretty much the NFT IP that I have the most belief in. I've invested over like $200,000 in the NFT bear market in these NFTs, these digital fucking JPEGs. Big belief that, like I said, NFTs as a whole, as a technology, as an asset class, is going to be extremely important. But more importantly, I'm a huge believer in Gary Vaynerchuk, in the IP he's already built. Just real quickly, Gary V's content, and his videos he put out on YouTube is a big part in why I continue to stick with crypto and a lot of these other things I was doing for many years when I wasn't making money, into where I'm able to do this every single day, make a bunch of money, help out my family, all these different stuff. If it wasn't for Gary, I probably wouldn't be here. His content like that has changed myself and millions of lives. I think that VFriends, the IP as a whole, that's more digestible for kids, for people of all ages, are going to impact tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions of people. And with that, I think the NFTs, which are the original collectibles, will become very valuable and very important as well over time. So with that rant, I've been doing spaces surrounding VFriends every Monday usually. Tomorrow's is going to be Thursday. We're going to be talking a lot of stuff that's going around there, not just VFriends, but NFTs, digital collectibles as a whole. If you'd like to come up and say what's up, you've ever wanted to just say what's up in general and talk live, feel free. We'd love to have you. We're actually going to do a giveaway on that one as well. So looking forward to talking to some of you guys on there tomorrow. But with that, just text you in the DMs. I appreciate that, Morgan. I will see you guys on Friday. Be safe, and see you guys on the next one. Peace.